Hello and welcome to another video, and a lot of you won't know this, but I actually used to be fat, like really fat. I also used to be sick at dancing.
Oh baby, when you talk like that, you make a woman.
Anyway, I finally turned my life around. I'm now at the point where I can literally grate cheese on my abs, so I thought it was only fair that I shared my secrets with you. So today I'm going to give you 4 reasons why you don't have abs. Now before we can get started, you may not be aware, but YouTube have just introduced a new interactive feature. I enabled it on my channel yesterday, and what it basically means is that this video won't start until you drop it a like. So if you could just go and press the like button. Seriously, like, I'm just gonna have to sit here otherwise. Honestly, can you just, it's gonna be so awkward. Thank you. Okay, we're in. So I'm going to give you the 4 most likely causes for you not having abs. I'm then going to give you a solution to each one so you can actually go and do something about it. So reason number 1, and by far and away the most common cause for you not having abs, is that you're too fat. Okay, it sounds blindingly obvious, but you'll be amazed at how many people come to me and ask me what ab exercise should I be doing, what order should I be doing them in, how many sets should I do for my ab exercises, when they're sitting at like 20% body fat, right? Like, you can be doing the world's best ab workout every single day of the year, but if you're too fat, if there is too much fat in the way, you're not gonna have visible abs. It's that simple, okay? Just think about it logically. You have your abs, then you have a layer of subcutaneous fat, then you have your skin, right? It goes abs, fat, skin, in that order. So if there is too much fat there, obviously your abs are not gonna be visible. Now bear in mind, there's no magic point at which your abs are revealed. It varies from person to person. Some people say, oh, you know, at 12% body fat, your abs suddenly become visible. It doesn't work that way. It depends on the individual. So I, for example, don't store much fat on my abs. That means I can be even as high as, say, 15% body fat and still have fairly visible abs, whereas other people could be down at, say, 12% and not have particularly visible abs. It does depend on your genetics and where you deposit your fat. So if you deposit more fat on your stomach, unfortunately that means you need to get your body fat even lower to make them visible, but it still comes down to that, you know, without fail for every single individual, the biggest hindrance to you having visible abs is your body fat, right? So in terms of a solution, pretty simple, just get your body fat lower, okay? Now, what you need to do is just put yourself in a deficit. Now, depending on how much fat you have is gonna determine how aggressive your cut is. So if you only have a small amount of body fat, if you're sitting fairly low but you want to get more shredded so your abs become even more visible, then you're going to lose a very, very small amount of weight each week. You're going to sit in a very small deficit. If, however, you have quite a lot of body fat and you feel like you're nowhere near having visible abs, you can probably cut a little bit more aggressively and drop weight a little bit faster. Bear in mind, if you start losing weight at kind of faster than half a pound or so a week, unless you have a huge amount of weight to lose, but if you start losing weight faster than that rate, then what that's going to mean is that you are losing muscle at the same time. So what you need to do is, like I said, slow it down in that instance. Make sure your protein intake is nice and high, because that's going to help with muscle retention. Make sure you're training hard, and make sure you train the same way as you would, you know, when you're bulking. That's one common mistake people make, is they think, oh, I'm in a cut, so I'm going to do more reps, so I'm going to train differently. You train it exactly the same way. Like, the way you get strong and the way you get big is universal, whether you're cutting or bulking. So continue training in that way, and over time you will lose body fat, and over time your abs will become more prominent and they'll look better. Reason number 2 is that you're doing too many reps for your ab exercises. Again, this is a very common one. You'll see someone go into the gym, they'll do chest, they'll do sets of 8 to 12 reps to their chest, they'll move on to shoulders and do sets of 8 to 12 reps, they move on to their triceps, do sets of 8 to 12 reps, move on to abs, do sets of like 50 reps, right? Where is the logic there? Your abs are a muscle group just like any other muscle group. They respond to a training stimulus in the same way as other muscles do, therefore you have to train them in the same way if you want them to grow. Okay, I think some of the issue stems from the exercise selection. So I think lots of ab exercises people promote, things like sit-ups and crunches, generally revolve around body weight. And so after you do, say, you know, crunches for a few weeks, you can do like 50 or 100 reps, and so that's just what you do because that's how many you can do, that's how many reps it takes to get to exhaustion, right? So there are numerous studies on optimal rep ranges. Although there is no, you know, universally accepted ideal rep number, we know roughly that we're looking at kind of 5 to 20, maybe 25, maybe even 30 reps at a push, certainly no higher than that, okay? Generally speaking, we're going to be around the 8 to 12 rep range for like the majority of our work, and therefore, like I said, doing sets of sit-ups, we are doing upwards of 50 reps just makes no sense, and it is by no means optimal for developing, for growing your abs. So in terms of solution, it's pretty simple. You're either going to swap your existing exercises for exercises that inherently involve resistance. So my favorite would be a kneeling cable crunch, or failing that, you can just add resistance to your existing bodyweight exercises. So for example, your hanging leg raises, you can put a dumbbell or a plate in between your feet. a regular sit-up or crunch, you can just hold a dumbbell or a plate or a kettlebell, and the same thing applies for like a decline crunch or a decline sit-up. Just hold a weight. All you're doing is you're making the exercise harder, you're increasing the resistance, which is going to put you in that optimal rep range, which is going to lead to the most hypertrophy. Reason number 3 is that you're not training your abs whilst bulking or in a calorie surplus. So what people would do is that they'll be in a cut, they'll start to see their abs, they'll think, oh, this is sick, my abs are awesome, that kind of motivates them to train their abs more. They train their abs more, they see their abs more, it's kind of like a positive cycle, right? Then conversely, they get into a bulk, they start to get a bit fat, they can't see their abs, they think, oh, there's no point training my abs now because I can't see them anyway, right? It's kind of this bulking mentality of like, you know, I'm gonna get fat and massive and really big and strong, I'm not gonna see my abs, so let's just not bother training them, right? The irony is, a bulk is the only time where you're actually going to develop your abs. Okay, when you're cutting, the reason you can see your abs more is not because you're doing a sick ab workout, it's because you're dropping body fat, right? Like I said, for reason number 1, the underlying cause of having visible abs is having a suitably low body fat. So whilst you're cutting, although you can train abs and that's great, absolute best case scenario, you are just maintaining the amount of muscle you have on your abs. You know, you're not going to build any more. The irony is, if you never train your abs whilst you're in a bulk, you're actually never going to grow, you're never going to develop your abs. So you could train your abs, you know, every year only while you're cutting for 5 years, and your abs are going to be exactly the same, maybe even worse after those 5 years. They may look better because your body fat gets progressively lower, but in terms of the actual amount of muscle mass you have on your abs, it's going to be the same or worse. So what you need to do is when you bulk, you've got to train your abs. If anything, train them more, increase your training volume for your abs, because that is the time where when hypertrophy is going to be at its highest. That's when you're actually going to be growing and developing your muscle. So of course it makes sense to train your abs in this time. And the 4th and final reason that you do not have abs is that you suck at posing and or taking pictures. Okay, so I've had in the past where like with a client, for example, I've seen them in real life and their abs look pretty decent. They then send me a photo and I'm like, what the hell is that? Where have your abs gone? Are you wearing like a skin colored t-shirt? You know, because they're terrible at posing and, you know, showing their abs in the best light, you know. So you've got to remember that when you're making a judgment on how good someone's abs are, like if I say to you now, think of 5 people with the best abs you know, I guarantee most of those people are probably going to come from Instagram, right? You're judging how good their abs are based on a picture you've seen, right? You need to remember that picture is their abs at their absolute best, right? With the best lighting, with the best contraction, with maybe a pump, with the right angle, all those kind of things contribute enormously to how good your abs look, right? Using myself as an example, when I first started bodybuilding a year ago, my abs looked alright in real life, but it didn't look great in a photo. I'd kind of look in the mirror and think, oh yeah, my abs looking quite good. I'd get a picture and it would be like, you know, a different person. It looked horrendous. The better I got at contracting my abs and posing for a picture, the better my abs look. So if you look at a picture from a year ago to me now, my abs look 10 times better. In reality, they might be a little bit better, but the vast majority of that progress has just come from my ability to, like I said, contract, pose, find the right lighting, get the best picture. You know, that's what it comes down to. So in terms of a solution, I guess there's kind of 2 things. The first one, and this is pretty weird, but it's just like standing in front of a mirror and practicing the art of contracting your abs, right? Like I said, I got so much better at doing that, and it was like I just kind of, you know, in the space of a month of getting better at contracting my abs, it's like I've been training my abs for 10 years. I just got so much better in a photo because I was able to showcase them better. So it's hard to explain. I guess like it's a combination of kind of squeezing your abs and kind of sucking in the same way you would if you needed like a wee, but it's very individual, it's very personal, and what works for one won't work for a different person, because it's all that kind of kinesthetic awareness. So just practice in a mirror until you can find what looks right, and then just keep doing it, keep repeating it, so you get that feeling, you know how it feels, and you can start to replicate it. Now, of course, I'm assuming you're doing this for a picture. Like if you don't care about photos, then don't worry. But even, you know, even in real life, like the ability to contract your abs is going to showcase your abs in a better way just in real life. So even if you're not fussed about photos, assuming you want to get better abs, you know, you've obviously clicked on this video, then these things are all going to help that. So the second thing on top of being able to contract your abs is being able to get a photo that showcases them in their best light, right? So that comes down to the way you stand relative to the camera. Like light is an annoying, in fact light is almost everything, because obviously the light is the thing that is highlighting your abs. Like when you see your abs, you're seeing shadows. Those shadows are generated by light. So again, this comes down to the individual. Me personally, I find that a single source of natural light coming in from the side shows my abs in the best way. So there's a room I've got downstairs. You'll see a lot of my, or some of my kind of selfies on Instagram where my abs look decent. They're taken in that one spot because there's a mirror in front of me and there's one big window with lights coming in from the side, and you get all those kind of nice shadows. But again, experiment with different lighting, find what works for you. But like I said, that is ultimately going to underpin how good your abs look. You can have great abs, but if you can't showcase them properly in a picture, then you know, no one's gonna see that. And that is where I'm gonna end the video, because I'm pretty sure I've covered everything, and more importantly, I've got a salsa lesson in like 5 minutes.
Oh baby, when you talk like that, you make a woman.
So I sincerely hope you enjoyed it, guys. If you have enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. Like I said at the start, if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you tomorrow.